This is the Best of the Week on Relevant Radio.
We're talking about the issue of abortion. What came out this week was really startling. In the story, maybe you heard about Rocky star Sylvester Stallone. He revealed that his mom tried to abort him. Now, I actually had an encounter with Rocky star Sylvester Stallone back 10, 15 years ago now. I was doing a pro-life activism. We were on Rodeo Drive down in Beverly Hills, one of the most expensive shopping malls, outdoor shopping malls, I guess you could say, in Southern California. And we're outside holding pro-life signs, talking to people who pass by. And at one point, person drives up in a very nice car. I don't remember what it is. I'm not a car person. But who steps out, lo and behold, but Sylvester Stallone. He does not say a single word. A couple of my friends and I were standing there. And as he's walking into the store, he's just looking at us and smiling. And he turns around and gives a huge thumbs up and smile. And from there, we knew Sylvester Stallone was pro-life, very pro-life, being supportive and happy and grateful we were out there. And so it really hit home after having had that encounter all those years ago doing pro-life activism on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, coming across Sylvester Stallone, knowing in that moment he was pro-life, when an episode of the Unwaxed podcast recently came out, hosted by his daughter, Sophia Insisting Stallone, where they actually interviewed their dad about the release of his Netflix documentary. Now, he ended up chronicling the story of his mother, Jackie Stallone, who his daughter started by saying, hey, she was nervous to have you. And they start asking questions about those circumstances, and the girls' jaws just about, they drop. You can watch the video as they hear the response of their dad. Listen to this.
I grew up in a really bad household. It was tough.
You had said that your mom was nervous to have you. She didn't want you,
Not at
right?
all. My mother would say, the only reason you're here is because the hanger didn't work. Or bouncing down those steps didn't cause you to get lost. You know, when you're young, you're kind of naive and foolish. You go, maybe everyone's mother is like this.
Right.
I never really hung out with other people, so I didn't know what a happy home was. But my mother she was a troubled person. She was put into an orphanage. It's unlike the ones they have today. It was, you're tied to the bed, you're whipped, and she was terribly molested.
Wow.
And I think her ability to ever show love was short-circuited. She literally couldn't stand to be touched or touch at all.
So how did her lack of touch towards you affect you long-term?
I didn't like being touched. I couldn't handle it. Any sort of affection, touch like this, it was so alien that it made me incredibly uncomfortable, and I've just literally come to terms with, of course, your mother, which I love now, but she'll tell you for years, I just thought that was normal.
That's Sylvester Stallone being interviewed by his two daughters, who are hosts of a podcast, and they're visibly shocked as they kick off asking this question of their dad. Your mom didn't really want you. Can you share a little bit about that? And he chronicles the pain of his mother's life, being brought up in an orphanage, abused severely. His mother, who hated physical contact, tried to actually abort Sylvester Stallone multiple times, from what he indicates, in many and various ways, trying to lose the pregnancy, lose the baby. And part of what struck me was his candidness with sharing his story in the face of a mother who didn't want him. And that's so normal today. I can't tell you how often I've come across young men and young women who shared, my mom didn't want me. She actually wanted to have an abortion. And for whatever reason, whether someone intervened, it was too late, maybe there's a decrease in access, that pain and that reality that she didn't, but then that gratitude that they're alive in spite of that, while still having to heal from the wound that has been there. Now, Sylvester Stallone's mother tried to abort him before abortion was legal here in the United States in the way that it is today. And it's such an important reminder that when we offer women the lie of abortion, we offer them the option to literally murder their baby and to face the consequences of that internally as mothers, to know that. How could we say that a broken woman such as Sylvester Stallone's mother should, in addition to all her brokenness, also have an abortion and face the post-abortive syndrome, the anxiety, the depression, the substance abuse, the suicidality, the night terrors, the anniversary reminders? Why would we want that for someone who's already been wounded as she was? Now, I have a great admiration for Sylvester Stallone. Little maybe for those who know and some who don't. Sylvester Stallone married his current wife, Jennifer Flavin, 27 years ago, and they've been together 36 years, and he has 3 of his children with Flavin, and Stallone was raised Catholic. But after years of not going to church, at one point in the 90s, one of his daughters was born, and he returned to church, and he said this that I thought was pretty striking. He said, "When my daughter was born sick, and I realized I really needed some help here, I started putting everything in God's hands, his omnipotence, his all-forgivingness." I thought that was pretty incredible. So Sylvester Stallone came back into the Catholic Church in the 90s when he faced the medical crisis of his own child, and how faith defies all else, especially when it comes to the diagnosis of your children or the unthinkable situations you may face in life. And how you see stories such as Sylvester Stallone where they ran to God in the midst of those broken moments. And it's so easy, I think, in our modern culture to become a victim, say, why me? And for many to rail and rage against God. Yet faith is the remedy for all. Seeing things not through our own human eyes, but by being completely dependent upon him. I love the words of St. Edith Stein when she talks about being fastened to the cross. It's often referred to as the science of cross by St. Teresa Benedict of the Cross, also known as St. Edith Stein. And you see moments and experiences such as these. The health journey that Sylvester Stallone had to navigate with his daughter when she was born. And faith is the remedy for all. God truly does heal, and he transforms even in the midst of our brokenness, whether it be an upbringing, a mistake that's been made, a prenatal diagnosis, the death of a child. And it just makes me keep thinking over and over again about how important the Our Father itself is, that prayer that God has given us, looking at God as our Heavenly Father, and remembering those little moments, such as, give us this day our daily bread, that we trust in God to give us what we need to sustain us physically, but also spiritually, mentally, to fortify us, to have the endurance to navigate what he expects of us with faith. But then also looking at the story of Sylvester Stallone and the compassion he had and understanding the brokenness of his mother and healing from his own brokenness, from the wounds that she passed on, from having wanted to abort him, from not wanting to be physically touched and touch him, and how he carried that into his marriage as not wanting to be touched, thinking that was normal. You see that forgiveness that Sylvester Stallone had, and it made me yet again think of the Our Father, where we say those words, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Outside of faith, forgiveness to this extent is seemingly impossible. Outside of faith, hope like this is seemingly impossible. God truly does fortify us for the journey. And so whatever you may navigate today or tomorrow, know that God heals all and defies in the midst of whatever brokenness and a heartache and challenge might be there. He can bring us up into his joy and his love. You can join me and listen on the Relevant Radio app to Trending with Timmerie live each weekday at 6 p.m. Central. Thanks for listening.